What we really wanted to do when we were working on the script was to get these two women to meet.
Cousin? Hi. When they finally meet for the first time, they've both been through so much. Mary has lost everything. So by the time she gets to Elizabeth, she's really sort of at her wit's end.
Because they were kept apart this whole time, it's so fascinating to explore what that conversation would have been. The tragedy in that situation is if they hadn't been held away by these men, it would have been very different. There would have been a lot less bloodshed.
I am grateful for your protection.
I'm pleased to grant it.
How did it come to this?
The first day that they met in costume as characters on set was the day that we shot that scene.
It was really important to both of us to not see each other before this scene, because it's the only scene we have together.
We shot the Elizabeth stuff first, 3 or 4 weeks. The scene where the two of them meet was Margot's last day of shooting, and in fact it was Saoirse's first day of shooting, so she hadn't shot anything at that point.
It was also pretty much Saoirse's first day on the film, which when you think about how incredible her performance is sort of mind-blowing.
Even with rehearsals, I turned around in my chair so I couldn't see her. And I remember even the first time we read it out loud, it was really emotional for both of us, you know?
Far more moving and emotional than I think any of us assumed or predicted it could be. I totally broke down, really. I mean, we both did. We were just sobbing.
When we did the first take, and I looked at her and she looked at me, and we both started to cry, but also sort of like convulse. We started to shake. It was just this massive moment.
Those two actresses were looking at each other in character for the first time. That's the take that's in the movie, and it's unbelievable.
Obviously, we could never know how these queens were feeling, but for a moment to know the emotional cost it took to carry out what they then, especially what Elizabeth then carried out, was just so fascinating.
I will kneel before you if I must. It would make no difference.
You are safe here in England.
It is a huge responsibility to bring these two women to life. So I think we were both feeling quite vulnerable as well, and sort of using that in order to make the scene work. It was one of the best days I've ever had on set.
There is nothing in the historical record to suggest that these two women ever met in person. We felt it was important to imagine what it would have been like for these two women to occupy the same room, if only briefly.
It deviates from history, but theatrically and dramatically it needs to happen, because the infinite curiosity for those two women, for each other, has to be satisfied for dramatically, creatively, this to be complete.
You just do not see those sort of epic rivalries on screen between women. I mean, I can't remember one between women. Those sort of epic rivalries are usually two men.
The Michael Mann film Heat, where you get Pacino and De Niro going head to head at the end of that movie, I was like, this should be like a Renaissance Heat. Like, what the audience will really want to see is these two women go head to head, and how amazingly cool would it be to have these two great actresses of their generation in that room, facing each other and playing what is a kind of brilliant dramatic scene. So in a way, the whole movie leads up to that moment.
And should you murder me, remember you murder your sister. And you murder your queen.
My dearest cousin Elizabeth, we have had our differences, and what sorrow it has brought my heart. But before I bring a child into this world, I wish to reconcile. I would our child have two mothers.
They're kept apart by their advisors and their counsellors in each of their courts. And really, even though there is a rivalry and they are a threat to one another, I think they're desperate to be friends.
On one hand, there was a yearning to find that bond and feel comforted by the fact that someone else understands the position you're in. At the same time, the mere survival of the other threatened their own.
These two young women who were the only ones who possibly could have understood what it was like to be in the other one's shoes. So there was this sort of deep bond there, not only familial, but in terms of what it meant to be a young female monarch at that time. At the same time, you have this vortex swinging back and forth between sisterhood and rivalry.
Together we could conquer all of those who doubt us. Do not play into their hands. Our enmity is precisely what they hope for. I know your heart has more within it than the men who counsel you.
These two women were ruling at a time when men called the shots completely.
Both parties seem to be constantly surrounded by men, manipulating their futures.
For this film, I think we see a very relevant comment on where we're at today as a society, particularly when it comes to looking at women in power, the cost of leadership, how it's so lonely at the top. What sacrifices do you make?
History is a prism through which we look at the future.
Particularly with what's happening in the world at the moment and the kind of rise of new feminism, if you like, it seems like a very sort of appropriate time to be telling this story.
That power that men have, we're seeing that played out in a very big way at the moment. We are remarkably similar, past and present.
Before you act rashly, please consider...
It is enough my own lords treat me as though I'm but a girl. I will not be treated as such by Elizabeth.
What's amazing about the Renaissance and this period of history is that what those women chose to do with their bodies.
Do I eschew marriage and relationships and having children in order to further my career and get on and do my job? Or do I kind of follow my heart and have the relationships that I want?
I think Elizabeth and Mary, when push comes to shove, were both actually really quite modern women. They were different for their times.
What is amazing is that you can hold up a story that is about two women who are trying to lead and who face challenges that are not unlike modern challenges. Are they disliked for their ambition? When they walk into a meeting room where everyone in that meeting is a man apart from them, how do they hold it together? How do they present? How do they be?
Josie's a big feminist, and to have a woman telling this story felt particularly apt this time in our history. This is a great sort of feminist telling of this story of these two women.
You are wise, brother. There are times for wisdom and there are times for love, but there are also times for strength.
The most fun I had on set was with the girls who play the four Marys.
We have visitors.
We all became really, really close.
It's sort of like being back at school.
Every single day I've had tears streaming down my face.
We make each other laugh a lot.
It's very funny because someone will start a song and then the whole crew will just continue it and sing it along.
50, 60 people in pure costumes singing Britney Spears.
So we performed Spice Girls songs, mainly Wannabe, in our, Renaissance garb and stuff.
Like see ourselves
Choose
as
ours.
Renaissance Spice Girls.
Spiced girls.
Spiced Girls.
Yeah, because it's in the
Spice.
past.
Because it's in the past!
It keeps you distracted from the corsets.
We've got to that kind of nerdy stage where we just exchange looks and know what's going on, and the men used to be so freaked out on set. They used to always be like, there's something going on here, I don't know what it is, but I'm not too sure how I feel about it.
If we did not have this close relationship, I don't think that would read on screen.
I think it was imperative for Josie to really solidify this relationship between us because they were so in sync.
She played some music on set today before the scene.
It's anything, it's sort of top of the pops. Top of the pops? How old am I? Chart stuff. More people should do it. It's a great way of just loosening everybody up.
What she's done in that sense, and not play the period, just keep this energy of now and just humans, at any point in time.
Ismael, who plays Rizzio in the film, used to twerk for us on set, and he used to do very sexy dances for us when we were in the Scottish court.
That was amazing.
We had a really great time.
It has been a real joy, this job. It's a real good bunch of people.
They are beautiful souls, also individual, also creative, also talented, and funny. I definitely can say personally that I've gained sisters for life.
Il vous a embrassé ici? Une fois.
Mais ça, on va aller plus loin.